Ask Reddit. What are some useful psychological tricks you know? People like you more if you let them do you favors. It's a kind of reverse loop. I must like this person since I'm doing them a favor or something like that. Most people actually enjoy helping others out in a small way. Plus, they build up favor points if they need something in the future, which lessens stress. The joke's on them. I don't recognize favor points as a currency. Yes, you do. A less manipulative way to look at it, as making people like you isn't very honest, is that accepting help and kindness shows openness and willingness to show vulnerability. And being comfortable with showing vulnerability means that a person is less likely to become defensive and thus lash out. This creates safety and comfort in an interaction, which in turn engenders trust. The pattern is the same, it just includes the steps that make it work, rather than phrase it as, you can trick people into liking you by doing this. It isn't a trick. It's behavior that actually makes you a better person. If you want to make someone uncomfortable, stare at the middle of their forehead while they talk. To them it will look like eye contact, but something will be slightly off about it that they won't be able to notice. Edit. For the people worried about using this for fake eye contact, you can negate the effect very easily with other social indicators such as smiling, remembering to blink, and slightly leaning forward. You can also look at someone's lips and most people will assume you're hard of hearing and lip reading. Alternatively, if you want to appear interested, keep switching your gaze from one eye to their other eye. It will make your eyes sparkle and they will think you're interested. My experience is the opposite almost. You want to convey engagement, pick one eye, and don't switch. When my mom and I went shopping, she would just talk and talk to me, and by the time we got back to the car and she had distracted me enough, I would miraculously be holding all the bags. This kind of goes along with if you hand something to someone while you are talking, they'll usually accept it. I've done it with small pieces of trash to my coworkers. It's cute to watch their brain try to process why they are now holding my crumpled up papers. Not sure if this would necessarily be considered a psychological trick per se, but I have always had trouble remembering someone's name. I will meet them, shake hands, and bam, 5 seconds later I totally forgot their name. I found a good trick is to say their name out loud to them, almost as a question, when they say their name. Then say it again out loud as an affirmation. This really helps me remember someone's name. I don't remember where I learned it, but I was always told you're some large percent more likely to remember a name if you say it out loud at least 3 times. I've had to do it a lot lately with my new job, and it seems to be working. I also try to add context to a name by asking where they're from or how long they've been working at X. The easiest way to win an argument with someone isn't only with a well-thought-out, fact-based argument of your own. You need to convince them that you're both on the same side. Phrases like, I think we're on the same page here, just looking from different angles, can be incredibly powerful in bringing people around to your way of thinking. I usually say something like, and what you just said makes a lot of sense, because, and then something that has nothing to do with what they said, but they end up agreeing. What I've noticed when I go to buy anything and it comes down to negotiating a price, the salesman will say his number and I'll just say and then sit quietly and just wait. It gets really awkward and it then forces them to talk, and usually they will counteroffer the offer they just put out, and it's honestly pretty funny. Where are you buying shit that negotiates prices? You buying cars every year or what? There are actually lots of retail stores that still exist that allow some room for negotiation, keyword some. Even large big box retailers that you might be surprised to learn they do. I've worked lots of retail sales jobs like that. Usually the crowd that does this are an older crowd who never buy anything online, and enjoy speaking with salesmen for advice and info, and to them it's almost like a tradition to negotiate a sale, but not always. Some people are just dicks and expect to never pay the same prices that everyone else pays, even for the smallest purchase. Usually the former are folks who always return to the same salesman so they can get the commission, or even if not because they like them. The latter are the type who you bend over backwards for cause you're trying to pay the rent, and then may use the product for a year and insist they can return it, because they've broke it and blame the store for some reason, which in turn negates any commission you made, so all the time you spent working with them was a waste. Those people are the reason I couldn't do it any longer. It's a soul-crushing field. Never make the first offer either. Especially important in salary negotiations. If they ask what you'd like to be paid, just ask, what would you consider a fair wage for someone as qualified as me? If they're offering you the position, you're the best candidate, so you're in the driver's seat. They make an offer, and you can either pause to consider, or say, I'll have to take some time to consider. Can I sleep on it? Or, is there any room for negotiation? Odds are they made an offer towards the upper middle end of what they can offer so as not to insult you, but they will likely either respond with something closer to the pay scale or they'll tip their hand that they can go up a bit and you know you can ask for more. This is part of what explains the gender pay gap. Men tend to be more willing to do this type of negotiation because of confidence and more willingness to play hardball, while women tend to be less confident in their abilities and less inclined to risk losing the job offer. Especially true in male-dominated professions. Never react to a person who is trying to upset you with words and insults. If I try to give you a hot potato and you don't take it, who has it? So if someone tries to throw a poison at you in their mind and you don't take it, the poison stays with them. In these situations, one of two things will happen. You overreact and their bad overcomes your good, or you don't react and your good overcomes their bad. What I do in these situations is mentally redact the content of what they're saying. Like what comes out of their mouth is, you're a piece of shit and your mom sucks dick for change, but all I hear is, I'm upset and am attempting to hurt you with words. Whether or not I'm a piece of shit isn't the issue here. Heck, whether they think I'm a piece of shit isn't even the issue, either. They're just using words as tools to inflict pain. Acknowledging this makes it much easier to ignore the words. Smiling increases positive results. Also, if you treat staff in a food business with a large amount of respect and love, they will treat you like a king because you truly make their day more bearable. You want ketchup? Don't worry, it's free. Maybe a free shot after dinner. Oh, and here a little snack for afterwards. Thanks for coming, please come back. I can't take another asshole family. Talk less when you want someone to talk more. A lot of times when trying to find out information we want to ask how or why or whatever. Most of the time if someone is already on a topic you can get them to talk about it more simply by not asking and letting them lead. They'll also be more open and honest, most of the time. I think I also read somewhere that people subconsciously take blinking as a sign that you are listening and will subsequently talk more. This is true. If you want people to elaborate on what they just said, do a quick double blink while looking at them. This thread is just teaching me how to have a conversation without needing to speak, and I love it. Change everything you say into a positive. Change, I'm bored. Into, we should do something fun, etc. Makes you sound much happier and in effect makes you feel happier. When I can't remember someone's name, I ask them how they spell their name for my contacts. They'll almost always say something like, you can't spell Joe? That's when I say, no, of course not. I meant your last name. It's been working for me for the last 10 years as a journalist. Keep telling people that they are nice, and many of them actually start behaving nice. Tell someone that you don't trust him/her, and you would see a negative change in the person. Have faith and win people's hearts. This is true, at least from my experience. I found this out by accident. It was way back in high school. There was an asshole that I constantly ignored because all he ever did was make an ass of himself at me. One day I thought, screw it, Let's see if I can mess with his head, see how he reacts to random kindness. He buffeted me again, and I walked over and started talking to him as though we had been friends our whole lives. Immediate 180. He changed his attitude so fast it made my head spin. By the time I even realized what had happened, he had become a hallway acquaintance and never bothered me again except to speak highly of me to my other friends and then vanish into the crowd again. As a high school teacher, I can confirm, it doesn't work 100% of the time, but it is generally very effective in getting students to rise to the occasion.